The envelope slid across the table and stopped against my knuckles. Cream paper, embossed seal, my father-in-law's name pressed into it like a threat. Red wine dripped from my chin onto the white tablecloth. No one offered a napkin. "Maybe this will teach him some respect," my sister-in-law laughed, her voice sharp with wine and cruelty. Filthy pig. I didn't wipe my face. I didn't blink. I stared at the envelope and felt something inside me lock into place. For years they had spoken to me slowly, as if intelligence required inheritance. They asked what I did with my hands, never what I did with my mind. They liked to pretend my silence was stupidity, that my posture was submission. My wife wouldn't meet my eyes. That was the first crack. Small, almost polite. My phone vibrated once in my pocket, a single message from a number no one at this table knew existed, awaiting confirmation. I lifted my gaze and finally smiled, not because I was angry, because I was done pretending. "Open it," her father said, smug. "It's a job offer, entry level. You should be grateful." I nodded, slow and obedient. Inside, the storm was already planned. I had hidden the money long before I hid the truth. 180 million doesn't sit in a single account. It breathes, it moves, it hides behind shellboards and silent partnerships. It wears other men's names. I learned early that visibility invites theft, emotional and otherwise. My wife never asked how I afforded my calm. She liked the version of me that arrived empty-handed to her parents' house and absorbed humiliation like weather. What she didn't know was that I owned the debt that kept her father awake at night, the company he built on borrowed pride and underpaid loyalty. Mine, quietly, legally, patiently. The betrayal wasn't the wine or the laughter. It was the way my wife flinched, not at them, but at me, as if she feared I might finally speak. That night, I watched her delete messages before bed, watched her turn her phone face down for the first time in 8 years, watched her body angle away from mine like a practiced instinct. I didn't ask questions. Questions warn people. I waited. I watched timestamps, cross-checked calendars, ran numbers while she slept. The man she was seeing worked in consulting, a convenient word. I recognized the firm. I owned a controlling interest there too, through a trust that never touched my name. DNA tests weren't necessary. Financial trails are more honest than blood. I learned when they met, where, how much he charged her for secrecy disguised as advice. At dinner, I played my role, nodded, accepted jokes at my expense, let my father-in-law lecture me about loyalty and earning one's place. Inside, I built a sequence. No confrontation, no mess, just timing. I accepted the job offer the following week, entry level, salary laughable. My father-in-law beamed when I signed. My wife exhaled, relieved, mistaking compliance for weakness. 2 days later, I requested a private meeting with the board. I didn't introduce myself. I handed over documents, purchase agreements, debt transfers, control clauses triggered by default they didn't know had already occurred. When I slid the final page across the table, my father-in-law's hands began to shake. "What is this?" he whispered. I met his eyes for the first time in a decade. "Confirmation," I said. My wife cried then, loud, messy, apologetic, too late. I felt nothing. At the next family dinner, I wore the same plain suit. I poured the wine myself. When her sister opened her mouth, I raised a finger. She stopped. Power is often that simple. "I've accepted the job," I said calmly, "as interim CEO." Silence collapsed the room. I looked at my wife last. "I knew," I said, "before you lied well enough to believe it." She reached for me. I stepped back. Contracts terminated, accounts frozen. Her father's legacy reduced to a severance package I approved. No yelling, no threats, just facts. I moved out that night, left the ring on the counter, took nothing else. People think revenge is loud, that it needs fire. They're wrong. Real revenge is administrative. It's patient. It signs papers and turns off lights. I didn't ruin them. I simply stopped holding them up. The last message I ever sent my wife was brief. You loved the version of me you could underestimate. Then I blocked the number. Some men lose everything and call it tragedy. I gained silence and finally understood the cost of being unseen.